All right, a third reason for dualism when people think about it is based on trying to explain psychological phenomena and apparent psychological phenomena that don't seem to be easily or obviously or even possibly susceptible of a naturalistic explanation. So there are all kinds of various what are called paranormal claims, right, to certain sorts of experiences. People, for example, might claim to have various kinds of out-of-body experiences. In earlier times, when people would have dreams, it seems like when the body is largely inert, when one is sleeping, there's not a whole lot going on there. Nonetheless, one can have very complicated dream states involving many plots and subplots that don't necessarily hang together. But how do we explain all of that rich stuff that's going on psychologically when there's nothing going on apparently physically, or very minimal things going on physically here? So we might make the claim that dream states are things that can't be explained on purely physicalistic terms, or people who have had, say, near-death experiences. They suffer some sort of trauma, perhaps in an automobile accident. They are rushed to the emergency room, hooked up to various kinds of life-preserving equipment, but everything goes flatline. The physicians are about to pronounce the person clinically dead after a certain amount of time has passed, but then, for whatever reason, the heart starts beating again and the person is resuscitated. In many cases, people will independently make claims to have had certain psychological experiences during this process of feeling like they're separating from their body, that they're hovering above or near their bodies, or the experience of there being in a dark ascending tunnel, and at the end of that tunnel there is a white light or a bright light that they are being drawn to, and then suddenly they find themselves back in their body, so to speak. Or various claims to having psychic phenomena where we can read various people's minds and so forth. So we can just say there's a broad category of special experiences, and in each case we might come to the conclusion that there's no way to account for these real phenomena. We take them to be real phenomena in naturalistic terms, and so therefore some sort of dualism must be true. Fourth kind of consideration I want to give is the argument that if we look at psychological phenomena, again, even if we don't focus on unusual experiences, just ordinary psychological experiences everybody can accept and everybody will grant exist, that there is no way to capture all of those in purely naturalistic terms or in physicalistic terms, and so therefore dualism purely as a scientific hypothesis or as a philosophical hypothesis grounded in a best explanation model for real phenomena is the right approach here. So for example, we might say if we take physical properties, it makes sense for us to say that they have, say, weight, right? Or they have color, right? Or they have, say, right, velocity. Right? I am moving at 1 mile an hour in an eastward direction as it happens here. Now I'm moving at 3 miles an hour in a westward direction. All right, so all of these various physical properties, and these are all of the things that are true and accurate descriptions of physical properties. If we then turn to the psychological properties, when we start to describe them, we can point out that none of these things, or none of the descriptors, or none of the ways that we would describe physical properties applies in any literal or real sense to a psychological property. You know, so if I'm thinking about something, it doesn't make any sense to ask how much does that thought weigh, right? Or if I'm thinking of the ontological argument, what is the mass of the ontological argument? Or if the ontological argument is in the moon's gravitational field, does it weigh more than if it's in Jupiter's gravitational field? It's a nonsensical question. Questions of weight don't apply, except perhaps metaphorically. We might say, wow, that's a really heavy thought, but again, that's not a literal description here. So it's not the case, using this as a negative symbol, that those thoughts have weight. It's also the case that they don't have color, right? If I am thinking of my shirt. Supposing we allow black to be a color for this example here, my thought and my experience of the blackness of my shirt is not itself black. And it doesn't make any sense to say that this thought is multicolored or blue or green, right, or whatever. Again, metaphorically, we might say, you know, I'm feeling blue today if I'm feeling a little bit down, but that's not, again, a literal descriptor here. So there's no color. And it doesn't make any sense to say, you know, that thought or that feeling, you know, the Pythagorean theorem that I'm just deriving in my head is, you know, moving southwest at 17 miles an hour. That's just ridiculous. And so these thoughts don't seem to have velocity, right, et cetera. So the initial then observation is to say that the properties that we will use to describe physical phenomena are not applicable to psychological phenomena, and then whatever kind of vocabulary we develop for describing psychological phenomena is not likely then to be the kind of vocabulary that's appropriate for describing physical phenomena. And then the inference will be, well, if we have two very different vocabularies for describing these phenomena, they must therefore be two very different types of phenomena.